My name is Sean Marable. This is for my informative speech. This is my wife and my daughter who will be my audience today. Once again, my name is Sean Marable, and I'm here to speak to you today about recruiting. Now, I have about 7 years of recruiting experience, more so within the IT industry, but I want to talk to you about the specific steps within the recruiting cycle, different ways to make it effective, and how to have a great outcome at the end. Recruiting itself, really and truly, there's not a lot of good and bad experiences. There's just a lot of learning experiences throughout the process. Staffing is hands down one of the most challenging aspects of life that you can partake in as a career. Essentially, you're dealing with the most unresponsive and most unpredictable situation, and that's people. Essentially, people can flake at any moment. They can change their minds. So essentially, how you handle that and control that from step one to the end is very essential. So basically, there's 7 great steps to recruiting. And these 7 steps I will cover throughout the process today, throughout my speech. Step 1, really and truly, is gaining the business. From a recruiter's perspective, they're out there within the market. They're working with HR, with hiring managers to really understand the business. And the goal is to be able to gain that requisition through relationship building, through networking with these hiring managers and with HR. And really truly, in that step 1, gaining the rec, is being able to take those managers out, to be able to build those relationships with them, know their business needs and initiatives, and be able to understand exactly what it is at the end of the day that they're trying to accomplish. Not only as an individual role for which they're hiring for, but as a team and as a collective. Step 2 is qualifying the rec. This is a huge piece that unfortunately many recruiters will tend to really just get surface level information. This information really needs to delve deeper than just surface level to really understand what it is that's behind the drive for the hiring need in and of itself. So it's very important that when you're building these relationships with these hiring managers or with HR, that you not only ask the surface level questions, but you really dive deep and seek to understand what it is that they need. And you can do this by multiple questions. You can do this essentially by learning from other team members. There's many of times that I would go out on the floor and introduce myself and sit down with other team members to really ask and get different perspectives and different understanding and the camaraderie and what it is that's going on out there within that team. Essentially, it's extremely important that you understand the overall business initiative. So when you're out there and you're doing your actual recruiting, you can really relay this information to top-notch, top-level candidates that you're seeking to be able to fill this position. So that's step 2, which is qualifying the rec. Step 3 is become when reality kind of hits you in the face as a recruiter, and that's the search part. Now, there's many different avenues when you're out there searching. 3 of the main ones that most recruiters will typically focus on is your data mining, which is your internet out search. When you're out there and you're on different websites such as like Monster and Career Builder, you're working with LinkedIn and going through those profiles and really out there, as many touches as possible, speaking with active candidates, proactive candidates, really trying to get a feel for who's in the market and understanding the business there. Other options are when you're out networking, whether it's business events, whether it's folks that are not really actively in the market, but you're just speaking with them, getting a feel for their background. Many of times in these events, you can find folks that may be a fit for your need, that you can be able to relay that information, and then they have a full understanding. It may spark some interest there. Job fairs. Job fairs are a huge piece to be able to go out to. Obviously, most of the folks there that you're speaking to are typically actively in the market. So unfortunately, a lot of times those that are really out there actively in the market and at job fairs may not be your top-notch level candidates, but essentially you can still find some good prospects there throughout that process. And then referrals. Referrals is the number 1 opportunity for you to be able to find the best candidate in the overall option for what you're looking for. And I say that is, you can reach out to folks that are within that organization that you're recruiting for, within that team, that environment, and these folks are the ones that know exactly what's going on, exactly what it is that they're looking for, and may have friends or colleagues or past coworkers that they know who are a good fit for these particular options. So huge opportunity when you're out there speaking with these folks to really network with them and understand and engage what it is that they're looking for. These are the three main sources that you're typically going to search for when you're going through. There are other avenues, but these are the three ones that recruiters typically focus on. The sixth one is the submittal process. So once you go out and you find a prospective candidate, it's extremely important that when you're relaying the information over to an actual hiring manager or to HR, that you're selling a short list. And a short list is basically you're taking your top 2 or 3 candidates. These are your best candidates that fit the position to the T for what the hiring manager or HR is looking for, and you submit these candidates over. And when you submit this information, it's extremely important that you're relaying the right information. You're giving bullet points of the brief points for what it is that they're looking for. That resume is scrubbed, it's detailed, it's accurate, there's no flaws within it when you're sending that information over. And you're prepared for when you're having these conversations to sell the candidate to the hiring manager, sell the candidate to HR, to give your candidate the best opportunity to go through the process. Other things that you'll want to do too is to make sure that your candidate is prepared. So in step 6, when you're going through the interview process, it's extremely important that there's multiple steps throughout the interview process, that your candidate is aware, that you understand the HR interview process or the hiring manager interview process, that you're taking the time to work with these folks on a day-to-day basis and get feedback throughout interviews so you can best educate each candidate that you submit over, whether it's for the phone interview, whether it's for the in-person interview. There's many times I spend time prepping each candidate, kind of what the duration's like, what kind of questions are going to be asked, what's the environment like, because these are things that I've done the initial work on to be able to best prepare the candidate. For in-person interviews, I always meet with my candidates. Essentially, it gives them a chance to make sure that they are best fit for when they walk in the door to meet that hiring manager or HR. They're dressed professionally, they're well prepared, they're ready to go. And then at the end of the day, the onboarding process, once a hire's been made, it's extremely important. Unfortunately, many recruiters, hiring managers, and even HR, they tend to get somebody in the door and they forget about them. And it's extremely important that you still follow the process through. And onboarding is an extremely delicate process. It gives you about 15 days to really get a candidate in there, get them situated, make sure that they have all the questions that they have are answered, to make sure that it's still a good fit for what they're looking for, and that you don't find out 30, 60, 90 days down the road that it's just not the right job for what they're looking for, and that essentially this is a good long-term opportunity and they'll continue on. So once again, there's 7 steps to recruiting. These are just 7 basic concepts that you can apply to day-to-day recruiting or staffing that will help you find the best candidates that are out there in the market. Whether it's getting that rec, which is important, qualifying that rec, doing the research to find the right candidates, screening those candidates thoroughly, submitting over the right information, walking them through that interview process, and then continuing on throughout that onboarding. So once again, my name's Sean Marable. These are the top 7 things that you can do for recruiting, and thank you for your time and have a great day.